This video is brought to you by MR Hi-Fi Reviews. We are driven to create high-quality, visually stimulating, and honest, informative reviews of personal audio, home audio, and technology, bringing you the latest and greatest news from the audio industry. Visit us at mrhifireviews.com.
Hey friends, my name is Marcello. During this video, I'll be giving you my impressions on the Mogwai OG amplifier from Justin Weber and his team at AmpsandSound. For everyone new to the channel, welcome. We love to discuss home audio, personal audio, and technology. To all the current subscribers and supporters, it's great to be with you again. For this review, I'll be listening to the Mogwai OG paired with several digital analog converters and streamers such as the NAD C658, the Core TT2, the Matrix Audio Element X, Matrix Element M, the Topping D90, as well as A/B listening to the Mogwai OG versus the ZMF Pendant Headphone Tube Amplifier and the AmpsandSound Nautilus. As with all my audio reviews, I will utilize most headphones and speakers in my collection, or any headphones or speakers that I have in for review, to search for synergies with the Mogwai OG. I have not been compensated for this review, and all thoughts and impressions are my own. I will cover 5 main topics: build quality, specifications, design, and quality of sound. Then I'll give my overall conclusions and leave any affiliate links in the video description to some of the gear discussed. If you decide you want to make a purchase, it helps the channel if you use one of my links. It doesn't cost you anything extra when you do, and I earn a small commission, helping me bring you more great content. So let's get right into it. The Mogwai OG is handmade with pride in Southern California with US sourced parts and transformers by Justin and his small team at AmpsandSound. Sitting in a beautiful walnut with ebony wood chassis, the Mogwai OG is a bit larger than the ZMF Pendant, but much smaller in size than the Nautilus, making it a good size for desktop use. The Mogwai OG typically has 8 ohm and 300 ohm headphone output taps. However, Justin built this Mogwai OG with an 8 ohm and a 32 ohm tap, making it even more versatile in my opinion. The Mogwai OG also includes 2 8 ohm 5-way binding posts for efficient speakers on your desktop or use in a smaller listening room or office. The Mogwai OG allows the user to roll a variety of tubes, increasing power as well as the overall sound signature. During the couple of months I listened to the Mogwai, I switched out the stock tubes to KT88 Gold Lion power tubes to allow for more power delivery to the highly demanding Hifiman HE6SEV version 2 headphones. The change to the KT88 power tubes added about another 2 watts of power, driving the HE6SE with ease. The Mogwai OG uses a single-ended Class A operation with zero feedback, creating AmpsandSound's classic wonder sound that many listeners have come to love. The Mogwai doesn't use a voltage divider network, instead it relies on transformers. I've now had the opportunity to spend a significant amount of time with 3 of AmpsandSound's incredible built tube amplifiers: the flagship Nautilus, the ZMF Pendant, and now the Mogwai OG. Like the other 2 amps, the Mogwai OG can be utilized with both planar magnetic headphones and dynamic headphones. As headphones have different impedance ratings and current demands, the Mogwai OG is capable of driving the majority of them. Many viewers are probably watching this and saying, can I drive my 300 ohm headphone off a 32 ohm tap? The answer is yes, and I enjoyed the 32 ohm tap from the Mogwai OG and the 100 ohm tap from the ZMF Pendant with my 300 ohm ZMF headphones. Continuing with the design, the Mogwai OG displays the tubes prominently, front and center. The larger gold line KT88 power tubes look even sexier in my opinion than the stock included 6L6GC tungsole power tubes. The Mogwai uses a 6SL7 as its input tube. According to AmpsandSound's website, the Mogwai OG is also capable of utilizing several other power tubes besides the KT88 and the 6L6GC, including the EL34, KT66, KT77, 6550, and the KT90. Next to the far left of the power tube sits an Alps volume pot, which is an absolute pleasure to use. On the rear of the Mogwai, you'll find a single set of RCA inputs along with the low Z or 8 ohm headphone output and the high Z or 32 ohm headphone output. Directly to the right of the headphone taps are the 5-way speaker binding posts. Lastly, the power switch sits at the far right corner of the amplifier. Having the headphone taps on the rear of the unit wasn't a big deal as long as the headphone cable I had was long enough to reach my seating position. However, users with shorter headphone cables should consider this and acquire longer headphone cables if their seating position is more than 4 to 6 feet from the back of the amp. The Mogwai Special Edition addresses this potential issue for some users and places the headphone taps at the front right corner of the amp, as well as adds an additional headphone output with an impedance of 300 ohms, so that a user can have an 8 ohm, 32 ohm, and 300 ohm output to use with multiple headphones. The Mogwai OG has a significantly reduced noise floor compared to the older Mogwai units. I was pleased with the signal-to-noise ratio from the 8 ohm and 32 ohm outputs of the Mogwai. With all tube amplifiers, you will always have some noise from the tubes versus solid-state amplifiers, as this is the nature of tube amplification. In my opinion, what you gain is a more natural, euphonic, holographic experience that envelops the listener. This is worth a small trade-off in my opinion. Power ratings for the amp can be increased with more robust power tubes. So in addition to being able to alter the sound, you can also feed more demanding headphones plenty of power so they don't sound like gremlins. I will link to AmpsandSound's website in the video description below so you can go through more of the tech specs. Okay, so let's get into my favorite part of the review, the quality of sound. I greatly enjoyed the sound of the Mogwai OG. I liked it paired with more neutral digital analog converters such as the Matrix Element X. The Mogwai does have a bit more intimate sound compared to the ZMF Pendant and the Nautilus. Synergy is always essential in my opinion. Knowing the Mogwai OG sounds a bit more intimate with some warmth to its sound, I prefer detailed, open-sounding headphones the most with the Mogwai. My favorite headphone with the Mogwai OG was the Hifiman HE6SEV version 2. They just had an amazing, excellent synergy with their open, very detailed, and superbly dynamic sound. There is plenty of lower-end energy from the Mogwai OG. Bass lovers will likely really enjoy the lower-end slam that the Mogwai brings to the party. The mid-range sounds a touch warmer than neutral to my ears, allowing vocals to have a little more warmth and intimacy. Treble is never fatiguing on the Mogwai or Sharp. Adding the Jupiter caps as an upgrade from AmpsandSound to the Mogwai OG should increase the micro detail, space between notes, and increase imaging accuracy. I would highly recommend a potential buyer spend a few $100s more and upgrade the Jupiter caps. The Pendant Special Edition is now also using the upgraded Jupiter caps. The Jupiter caps in the Nautilus allowed me to hear the most incredible detail and micro detail in the music. If you're going to spend the money to get a Mogwai OG, definitely don't skip out on the Jupiter caps. Comparing the Mogwai OG with the ZMF Pendant, I found the ZMF Pendant to have a more expansive stage with greater depth and accuracy. The Pendant is the drier sounding of the two amps, especially with the stock JJ-NOS tubes. The Pendant's tonality can be shifted a bit with different tubes, but it will still sound more neutral to my ears than the slightly warmer, more intimate sound of the Mogwai OG. The Mogwai's tonality sounds a bit more relaxed, with more warmth to strings, vocals, and drums. The Mogwai OG pulled the majority of vocals a bit closer to me than the Pendant. The Pendant sounds noticeably airier with more sparkle. Cymbal hits and strings have more energy and emphasis in my listening experience with the ZMF Pendant. The Mogwai OG, however, has more bass presence to my ears, out-slamming the Pendant. Listeners who love dynamic slam and punch will likely enjoy that when listening to the Mogwai. The Mogwai OG also sounded a bit more euphonic to my ears. They are different sounding amplifiers, and if one wanted, they could own both with two very enjoyable listening experiences. I honestly love them both. Check out my ZMF Pendant review for more info on that great amp. I will briefly compare the sound of the Mogwai OG to the AmpsandSound Nautilus. To my ears, I could hear that the Mogwai OG and the Nautilus are somewhat tonally in the same family, with the tonality of the Nautilus sitting a bit north of the Mogwai, not sounding as warm to my ears as the Mogwai OG. The Nautilus is the flagship from AmpsandSound for a reason. The images are more prominent, taller, more defined, and the depth and the width of the soundstage is far greater. The Nautilus also packs more slam, more detail, more micro detail, and the most natural sound of any tube amplifier I have ever heard. The Nautilus at the time of this video remains my favorite headphone amplifier I have ever had the pleasure of listening to. The headphones I enjoyed most with the Mogwai, besides the Hifiman HE6SE, were the ZMF Verité Open Limited Edition Desert Ironwood, followed by the Mezzi Empyrean, Rosson Audio Rad-0, the Clear MG, and the ZMF Aeolus. The DAC I most enjoyed with the Mogwai OG was the Matrix Element X, followed by the Cord TT2, Matrix Element M, the NAD C 658, the Topping D90, and the Schiit Bifrost 2. Listening to my reference 2-channel system with my NAD C 658 streamer DAC and my KEF LS50 meta speakers, the Mogwai OG presented a very enjoyable holographic sound paired with the beautiful staging capabilities of the KEF LS50 metas. They had decent punch and pretty good control of the KEF drivers. Comparing to my current reference 2-channel stereo amplifier, the Schiit Vidar, the Mogwai OG sounded more euphonic thanks to the tubes, as well as the staging was significantly more holographic. The Vidar did exhibit a bit more presence and control in the low end of the LS50 metas. My listening room is fairly large, however, so my room plays a big factor in the quality of sound. In a smaller size room, such as an office or smaller listening room, the Mogwai OG may be all a person might ever need, depending on how efficient their speakers are. In conclusion, the Mogwai OG is a beautiful sounding tube amplifier with a bit of warmth in the lower end and mid-range. It also has incredible dynamic slam and the versatility of use with both planar magnetic and dynamic headphones. Hard to drive headphones such as the Hifiman HE6SE version 2 sounded excellent paired with the Mogwai and the KT88 Goldline power tubes. The Mogwai has an enjoyable holographic euphonic sound signature without sounding gooey like some other tube amplifiers can. The Mogwai OG can drive efficient speakers for a one-box solution, headphone and speaker amplifier for desktop use. Owners of the Mogwai OG can roll several different tube options to control the power output and the overall sound presentation. Last but not least, AmpsandSound has a limited lifetime transferable warranty with some of the best service and quality in the audio industry. Thanks again to Justin from AmpsandSound for sending me the Mogwai OG to review, and a big thanks to all of you who continue to support the channel by subscribing, commenting, liking the videos, and sending me more gear to review. Don't forget to check out our website, mrhifi-reviews.com, and follow our Instagram, mrhifi-reviews, for more unique content. Until next time, friends, as always, much love.